this show we talk about networking, obviously, and there's a big jump from being a franchisee to becoming the CEO of a massive company like Fit Body Bootcamp. What was it in your relationship with Bedros coming in as a franchisee? Starting at that baseline level where people are coming to the company, to building and developing that relationship to go to multiple locations to continue growing. How did that really play out, and how did you get to a position where you stood out in an area where a lot of people would kill to be in the position that you're in now?
Well, thank you. Very, very nice of you to say that. It's probably a loaded question. I can kind of give you some talking points, but it's a story that continues to evolve. But first and foremost, and Bedros is as well, I consider B one of, we call him B for short, one of the most likable people that I know. He can build rapport very quickly. He likes people, is interested in people, and I have a lot of weaknesses, but one strength of mine is I'm the same way. I'm likable. I'm interested in people. I'm curious, and I just enjoy being around people. So I think that really helped me in my networking ability. We're also very, very similar in terms of, type A, hard charge driven, kind of dominant type personality. So we really, mesh there a lot. We actually had very similar but different kind of upbringings, a lot of the same challenges and struggles that we went through. So I think there's a commonality there. I also, took a lot of action against this coaching, for lack of better words. So, again, many times what happens, and not all, you have the high achievers in any brand that take massive action. And then you have the low achievers who learn the content, or at least are there for the teaching, but don't execute. So because I took action and executed and scaled to a handful of locations within a short period of time, that really helped the cause there. I joined the Fit Body Bootcamp Mastermind group very early on, within the first month of joining as a franchise. So that helped build the relationship and networking ability there. And then in 2017, which I had no vision that I would actually be working for headquarters one day, and I don't think B did either, but he launched his high-end ticket coaching program called Empire Business, or Empire Mastermind. And it was a $50,000 investment, and that's a lot of money for anyone, or for most people, I should say. And it was certainly a lot of money to me now, but a way more amount of money to me at that period of time. But I believed in myself, and I believed in B, that by enrolling in that mastermind, I would basically get more tools, insights, and connectivity and networking ability to take my business to the next level. I had no idea by joining that would just, again, be another step, another kind of foot forward to building that network, to becoming more successful, and then really to getting to know B in a very deeper level, which ultimately a year later, resulted in him offering me the vice president role, which then turned into the CEO role a few years later.
Yeah, there's something you mentioned there where you just said you took action on the coaching content that he was putting out, and for the audience, but and I'm sure you would believe this, but time and time again, talking with people, we talk with so many people that are running these massive companies, and how do people stand out to you? We've talked to everybody from David Meltzer to go down the list, and one of the consistent things that they say is, when I recommend a piece of advice and someone takes action on it, it stands out to me. That comes up time and time again. And on the flip side of that, how many times we've heard people sitting down in a position where people are always asking for advice, and they'll recommend a book and they'll say, I never hear from him again. The people that stand out are the people that say, I read the book. Thanks for recommending it. Here were my 3 takeaways. Or, I went through your coaching program. There's so many people that buy coaching programs as like a hobby. Like they just buy every funnel and book and different webinar that they can buy. But what are the things that you're learning? What are the things you're taking away? How are you applying it? Because coming back with that information for a coach, like that means everything. Like if someone's taking action on the advice you're giving, like that is such a quick way. And it's also a really easy way to stand out, because most people won't do that. They won't do that very basic step of actually taking the action of doing it. They'll just consume, and hold it, which doesn't help anybody. I don't understand the mentality behind it.
Eric, I'm smiling ear to ear, and I hate to say it's true, but it is. And
Yeah.
I think that's a huge, huge point.
Especially in fitness, right? I mean, especially
in fitness. And then
right.
Also to another layer, and you're so spot on with that, observation. But the other layer, which I didn't actually hit my initial kind of response, was Networking and building relationships is certainly, it's about extracting value, but you have to lead with value first. So, certainly when I became a Fit Body owner and I joined in his initial mastermind, then a later mastermind, I was getting a lot of knowledge, et cetera. I would take action. And when I would take action, I would better my business. But because my business was part of his network that he created, it would better his business as well, because I could be a case study. So, after all these, series of situations where I would take action, not only was I bettering myself and my business, but I was also bettering and adding more value to him. And really, at the end of the day, when you break down relationships and you break down networking, it's about what value can you offer. And then, of course, you will receive return, but the order is very important. So I think that also really constituted a big reason why, again, I was able to kind of climb my way up, and now I'm the CEO of the company.
Yeah, I'm curious. You mentioned you're both type A personalities, and that can be a good thing to have similarity in a business, but especially with type A personalities, especially hard sales or really driven people, sometimes they can just be bulls just crashing through stuff, dragging everyone behind them. And I'm kind of curious, like for the two of you working so closely now, um, does that create any conflict? And what do you do to kind of mitigate those potential conflicts that can come up when both people have very set visions and a very get it done personality?
Oh, Eric, man, you are an incredible interviewer. That is an amazing question, which
Yeah,
just really
glad to hear
shows
it.
up
Yeah.
in business. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. So, first and foremost, while we are very, very similar, and we actually went through the DISC profile and D, which is a personality testing, or famous for personality test for your
Hmm.
audience, and we linked up with a company called Take Flight Learning, which use or put bird analogies on each of the acronyms. So D stands for dominant, but that's actually the eagle characteristic, or the animal they tie to it.
Okay.
So we're both D's or eagles, and eagles sometimes can get combative for sure. So in many times, or at least sometimes in the boardrooms, if someone's like observing, you would think that we're fighting and we're going at it,
Right.
but really at the end of the day, that's our personality. But we also know that it's nothing personal. Our
Mhm.
whole goal is to basically move the mission forward, support our franchisees, support our global clients, and there's value in healthy conflict. So healthy conflict creates friction, and actually friction creates growth and productivity and execution. So on one hand, it's unavoidable, just as long as you both understand that there's nothing personal about it. You both have the end game in mind. You might see things a little bit differently, but healthy conflict is okay. It's not only okay, but it's actually encouraged if you want to have a very successful organization. So I want to kind of start there. But then the secondary, you have to know when to pick and choose your battles. And B is very, I mean, he also not only has a type A personality, or an eagle, as it pertains to Take Flight Learning's assessment on the DISC profile. At the end of the day, he is the founder of the company. He also has 10 years of business experience on me. So there's times where I just have clear insights. My feet are a little bit closer to the ground, and I know that this is the exact direction that we need to move forward on. And in that case, I'm charging hard, and I'm really, staking my case. But there's many times where I don't know for certain, or I'm looking, for additional guidance or
Mhm.
additional feedback, and also his mentorship and guidance. So many times I just have to take a step back and say, okay, B, at the end of the day, it's your company. You have the
Yeah.
experience. You're the mentor. Let's go. So, it's a little trickier. It's not as black and white as it, may seem, or at least would be ideal. But I think that secondary, aspect really factors in quite heavily to the situation, being successful, working together.